DTC Live On Air is powered by Bright Pill by Sage. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking with founder of Monday Muse, Lune Martens, all about her journey through entrepreneurship, starting with a degree in hospitality to now running an amazing skincare and supplement brand that help women across the world with their skin problems. Hope you enjoy the episode. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited for our episode today. Lune, can you tell us a little bit about you, what your role is, and a bit more about your brand as well?
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much. My name is Lune. I'm the founder of a skincare and supplement brand called Monday Muse. It is really a brand for people with not so well-behaved skin. And it's a very personal journey, which I'm sure we'll go into, about my own struggles with my skin and discovering what worked for me. So we really go for less is more, quality, gentle ingredients, and also the inside out approach with the skincare and the supplements. I think the two-pronged approach is really what kind of sets our brand apart. And yeah, I launched it in 2021. So we're pretty much 5 years old now. And yeah, it's been a ride.
And how do you describe like the brand, what it is today in comparison to when you were launching in 21?
When I launched in 21, it was just one product and we didn't have the supplements yet. It was always in the back of my mind because it was such a huge part in clearing my own skin. But because of resources and because I kind of started the brand straight out of university, started with just one product with our face oil, the nectar. So I think it started as quite a natural oil brand. And I think it's evolved more now into, a range, skincare, supplements. And also, I think the clinical element, we've done a lot of trials, clinical trials, consumer trials. So we also, I think, are more known as using natural extracts, but also clinically backed extracts, and the inside out angle. I think that's what people know us for more now than when I started.
Yeah, it's a hard one with like skincare and beauty, isn't it? With the clean ingredients and like people want to know, do they actually work? And I think you've got to back it up with like the clinical studies and trials more now, haven't you, to kind of prove that you're clean, but you're also effective?
Yeah, I think there was a big trend, obviously, with clean ingredients, non-toxic. I want to say maybe it started already in 2015, 2016, and it kind of took over. And I think now people are really more focused on results and efficacy, and that's something that's hugely important to me as well. When we formulate and when the way we make our products, it's done with all like utmost integrity. We really focus and pride ourselves on quality of ingredients, which is why we also don't have so many different products. We're not like trend-led either, so we're very focused on creating thoughtful formulations that eventually work because of my own journey. I remember kind of, trying so many different products, always being a little bit disappointed with the outcome. And I really want to avoid that with my brand because it's so personal. And I like the mission of the brand is to just help other people feel good about themselves. So
what kind of like sparked the idea then? Like what was your journey in?
My own skin. Yeah. My own skin struggles. I'm someone who's I've always had skin issues. Like even as a child, when I was younger, spent a lot of time at the dermatologist's office with my mom as a child and had acne as a teenager, which so many people deal with, like kids deal with. I think it's quite normal. But what is less normal, or at least accepted, I feel like, in society, is when you deal with it in your 20s, 30s, 40s. I remember when I was dealing with it in university that people would say, oh, maybe you should try to wash your face. Things like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. Oh, I haven't tried that. And 20 other things already. But it makes you just so self-conscious. And when I tried everything, as you do, the anti-acne products, the prescription creams, the antibiotics, and nothing would have a lasting effect, would clear my skin. And through a lot of, trial and error over the years, I figured out what worked. And that was taking a much more gentle approach to my skin. I think when you're dealing with acne or a skin problem, you just want to clear it so badly that you'll overdo it with so many strong actives, and it has the opposite effect.
Yeah.
And it damages your skin barrier further, and you're kind of stuck in this vicious cycle. So actually focusing on healing your skin barrier first is probably going to have a way better effect on your breakouts as well in the long run. And then the supplement angle, sort of taking different supplements, connecting that, whatever was happening inside of my body could show up on my skin, was a huge revelation, because I was dealing with these breakouts, around the chin and cheek specifically, and jawline area, and they are so stubborn to clear. And those breakouts specifically benefit from supplementing, because those are often from an internal imbalance, so things like poor gut health or hormonal issues. So that can make a huge difference, and it did so for me. So that kind of journey sparked the idea initially in my head. I'll say my dad was really supportive when I called him, because I started the brand straight out of university.
And what did you study?
I did my bachelor's in hospitality management,
Okay.
and then my master's degree. I came to London, and I did it in fashion and luxury brand management.
So nothing to do with like formulation or...
No. And I also never thought I would start my own business, let alone in the skincare space. It was never a big dream or anything when I was younger. But when you graduate from university or even high school, and you're thinking, what should I do with my life? What kind of job should I apply for? And I was kind of in that in-between stage. Am I going to apply for jobs? I have this idea. Maybe I should, do a bit of research. And my dad really encouraged me and said, I think you should. He is also very entrepreneurial himself. So he always had his own business. So I kind of grew up with a family, hearing about that, growing up and seeing that. It's not necessarily an easy path. I think it's very glamorized, entrepreneurship, but it goes with, the lows and the highs. But yeah, that kind of pushed me into the direction of, okay, let's start to do some research and see what I can create.
So was it quite overwhelming, especially with the formulation piece, and especially with something that's going to go on somebody's skin?
Yeah.
That's not like an easy first product to test the entrepreneur.
Yes. Maybe in hindsight, but hindsight's 20/20, and I feel like a little bit of naivety is always good in the beginning. I had really good intention, so I was never going to, put something out there. It was never a, money grab or, drop shipping companies that are popping up everywhere nowadays. It was never really done with the intention of, I'm trying to make a quick buck. It was always, okay, how I was personally very interested in how our products formulated and put together. So I got actually a diploma in skincare formulating as well after my master's degree from an online school. And this gave me a good foundation and understanding, not just of formulation, but also cosmetic regulation. There's a lot of cosmetic rules and regulation, label requirements, things you have to put in the packaging, things you can say, things you cannot say. Testing around when you formulate products from scratch, there's a lot of testing because the rules are so strict in the UK and EU. They're the strictest in the world. And that was very helpful during that course to understand what it took to bring a product to market. But yeah, it wasn't super easy, but I think you can figure anything out nowadays. You just need time, dedication, and passion, basically, and you'll probably figure it out.
Yeah. You'll get there.
Yeah.
With highs and lows.
With the highs and the lows, yes.
And what did you kind of prioritize first as you start in the brand? Was it the formulation piece? Was it the positioning? Was it the brand? Like, what kind of order did you do?
I think both brand and product. I think product first. And I also was envisioning like this world, right, of Monday Muse, what it's now called. I think product-wise, I got the diploma in skincare formulation. I knew that was going to be a really important piece. I did not want to create a product that wasn't going to have, a great effect on the skin. That's why the quality of ingredients also really matters. I found my cosmetic chemist, who I still work with till this day.
Oh,
Yeah, I love her. She's actually half British, half Korean. So when I called her and said, this is my idea, I really believe in a more gentle way to treat the skin and skin barrier and hydrating the skin, she said, oh, I love it. This is exactly the, way we approach the skin in Korea as well, which is now K-beauty, hugely popular.
yeah.
Because I think ultimately that kind of approach works for a lot of people. So I found her and started working on formulations together. And on the side, I was working on branding, packaging design.
All the fun
How do you build a website? Looking which, do I go with Shopify? Do I go with Squarespace? We were just talking about that. But it's everything obviously has to come together at the end. But I would say product and just creating a vision for the brand, the philosophy. Because in the beginning, it's nothing, right? It's just like a collection of products, but you have to make it a cohesive brand. So that's also important.
And how has that evolved and matured from where you started, from the positioning piece and who you are and understanding who you and your customers are as a brand now?
Yeah, I think we've always had the same philosophy. We've not really swayed away from it. I think the way we've matured as a brand is to really understand marketing, consumer psychology, buying behaviors, because I actually underestimated how important it is to not just create, a line of products, or I actually launched with one. So it was one product that I launched, but also you have to sell that. Otherwise your business can't survive. You can't launch the second and third and fourth product or grow your team. A business needs sales. So I think I kind of underestimated that in the beginning. Everything was organic. We didn't even touch paid media for the first 2 years, I think, of the brand.
Really? It's quite. And so how did you build that organic traction? Just
sort of one person at a time. I did a lot of organic marketing with on a shoestring budget, but I was posting on social media every day. We still have a very robust social media strategy. Like we post on all the platforms, like even YouTube Shorts, Pinterest, like we post, cross-pollinate all of our content because it's, free awareness. I did interact with a lot of like influencers we still do, but in the beginning it was just me in the DMs, just trying to build a personal relationship, gifting the product. And then with time, you start to get reviews, referrals, word of mouth, people telling your friends about this brand. So I think that's kind of what drove the initial few years. I think that's now very different. Now we have a very much more strategic paid media side of the business.
Would you recommend that brands go down that organic route first now? If you was to start a new brand, would you wait that amount of time, or would you go heavier in on paid earlier?
Yeah, good question. I definitely think there's something to say for, launching the product or brand organically for maybe the first 6 months. So you can also iron out any kinks, any problems. I feel like I was lucky that also the products really resonated with people. They had such a great effect on the skin. You design a product that way, but you need to now see en masse if people are responding in the same way to it. So that was something that was very important in the beginning to figure out. And then I think after adding in paid media is essential, or how else are you going to gain awareness for your
Yeah.
brand? You can't sell what people don't know. So you have to figure that out. I think it took me a little bit longer because it wasn't my background and I started the brand straight out of university. So I had no prior knowledge in the industry, in marketing, and just nothing. Just a student with a dream.
With a big dream.
Yeah. So I think I would recommend maybe the first few months, but I think paid media is such an important part of a business.
Such a quicker route to market, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
How are you protecting like the aesthetic and who you are as you are getting bigger and it's gaining more attention and you're across all of these different channels?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we are such a small team and we're very aligned. I think my first hire is still with me till this day. So she knows exactly what I like and what I don't like. But until not so long ago, I would be on every single product shoot, being involved with the creative direction. It's only since maybe a few months that I've sort of taken my hands off of it a little bit more and said, okay, I trust you guys to do it.
I bet that was scary for you.
Yeah, I think I've realized I'm the type of person who likes to be in control. But I also think it's important. You need to have a finger on the pulse at all times because, business is brutal and it's sink or swim. And if you make a few too many bad mistakes or you keep your eyes off the ball for too long, then it can have real consequences. So I think with that in mind, I just like to
just keep
always know what's going on. But yeah, I think it's about trusting your team and also, being involved always. Sorry, sharing that vision with the creatives like you work with.
Do you ever like run any internal workshops with your team around like the brand and where you see it going and like passing that vision on to them in other ways than just the day-to-day running?
Yeah, I started doing that a little bit more. I think that's very helpful to the team because I've realized, especially in the last year, we've grown from like 2 to now we're 5. So still quite small, but we were really small before.
So it only really mattered what the two of you were thinking.
Exactly. And it was a very easy, streamlined way of communicating.
Yeah.
Now, over the summer, I realized, wow, I actually need to also maybe communicate whatever I'm thinking, what's in my head and my goals to the rest of the team. That's quite helpful. Yeah. So I am now slowly getting better at that. I think that's a bit of a learning curve, but
like to go back to how you mentioned about all of being across like all of your channels, like that's time consuming, isn't it? And I know it's like the free reach. Are you under any pressure to like chase trends or making sure that you're perfectly aligned on every single platform because the type of content that you've got to produce for each of these platforms is so unique now?
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's just, we were, an online social media brand first. And I think that was the lever we could pull. So it's still a big part of our strategy now. You can create content on, let's say, TikTok and something, that's a little bit more polished or aesthetic. You can use that on Instagram and on YouTube shorts, you can use something else. So Pinterest obviously loves something super aesthetic. But I have someone full-time now. I hired a full-time like creative content lead for that reason. I'm in the content a lot myself because I think people like to see who's behind the brand. I like to, even though I'm more of an introverted person by nature, I do like to connect with people, and when they share, great results or have questions and things like that, I want to help. But yeah, with the amount of volume and content, at some point I realized we need actually someone else. Yeah. And it's always a thing on our minds. When we're creating content, like we need more people. So we're now looking into like affiliates, customers that want to, that feel comfortable being on camera.
Yeah.
They're hard to find, but some of them,
They don't
are
mind.
happy to do so, because you need different faces, different people that talk about the products in their experience. So it's an ever, content is such a big part of, I think, everyone's business nowadays. So
because it's needed to like power all of your channels, like from like a paid perspective, and then having like UGC on the website, and it's like got multiple different touch points. Do you run any like creative programs or influence programs through to kind of generate more content?
Yeah, I think that's where TikTok is great, and TikTok Shop. Obviously, they have the affiliate side nailed down very well. So it's very easy in the back end of TikTok Shop to sort of do the sampling, the gifting, creating content. It's not always ideal, the type of content you get, but it doesn't matter for TikTok so much. It's not as polished of a like create from a creative perspective. It doesn't need to be that polished. But I think now we're slowly looking to also have our own sort of brand affiliates.
Yeah.
That talk about the products on Instagram, TikTok, wherever they talk about their products. But that's something, we're slowly tapping into more and more now. Yeah, it's important.
'Cause it'll help with like the volume, I suppose, that you need as well.
Yeah, the volume, but also I think the trust, because if I say this is a great product, people will think, yeah, okay. If someone else says it, who has no affiliation to the brand other than genuinely loving it and sharing their experience, you're much more likely to trust that person.
Yeah.
So that's what's also really important. The people that we do work with, they have to use the product and be genuine fans of the products. They have to see the results. And then it also translates better, I think, on camera.
Yeah.
It's more genuine, especially for, people with breakouts or eczema, skin problems. It's easy to track when something is working or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also very important to keep the authenticity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of content can also be, I don't know, not so authentic.
A little bit too polished.
Yes, and a little bit scripted. Too scripted. So we really want to keep that authentic feel. But yeah, at the end of the day, like even the reviews on the website, people sharing before and after images, video, that's what's going to convince someone else ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah, to buy.
And what role is like editorial coverage played in building the brand, and how that's helped with like credibility as well?
You mean PR, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about this actually the other day. I thought, we haven't had a PR agency or someone on retainer for quite a few years now. In the beginning, I think it was crucial. And it's interesting because as your business grows and gets into different stages, you need different things at different times. And sometimes you circle back to something, or something you move on. So the first few years of the brand, I would say maybe a year and a half, we had full-time PR for us. And I think it's really important for the credibility of it. When people search for your brand and you're brand new, there's not a whole lot of information. Again, why should people trust you? It's when they've seen you've been featured in Sherlock's and Vogue and all kinds of different outlets that they think, oh, okay, this is just another touch point of credibility and authenticity. So it was really important to get that sort of stamp of approval from editors. And also in the industry, I think you have like the magazine PR, but you also have like the industry bit.
Yeah.
So when you have certain awards or things like that, can also be quite powerful, but it's more so that other people in the industry
recognize
recognize you a bit more. So we do a little bit of that, or did a little bit of that, but it's not really the priority.
Do you think that the publication logos that are seen, like as seen in or featured in, do you think they've lost any credibility or trust because so many brands have them, and it can be a bit of a paid placement now that it doesn't have the same pull or impact, or have you not noticed?
I don't know. I don't know if we've ever been able to measure that, but I remember my mom not too long ago, maybe a few months ago, she's like, oh, I do, whenever I see a badge of a magazine, it does give me a little bit more faith.
Oh, there we go then. So we just need to trust your mum.
Yeah. I don't know if it's maybe a generational thing as well. Younger generations are way more savvy. But yeah, I could see it because I see a lot of other ads that have as seen in this, as seen in that. And when you see it all the time, I do think you probably get a bit like...
Maybe we're just like a bit more skeptical because we work in the industry and we know
exactly
the tricks of the trade, but maybe the average consumer is like, oh no, I believe that, I trust
That's
it.
what I wonder. Depends if you're very in the space or in the world, you maybe can like see through a couple things a bit more, but for the average consumer I do think it's
powerful,
or it helps a little bit.
And then what about like marketing decisions that you've had to make? So especially if you've been quite a lean team for so long, was there anything that you implemented and you thought, yeah, for sure this is gonna drive some serious growth, or it's definitely the right decision, and then actually it's not worked quite as you was expecting?
It's funny, actually. I thought with PR, oh my God, we're featured in Vogue. Let's check Shopify for all the sales that have come in, and it's crickets. So I actually was quite surprised with PR how little the ROI on it is in an immediate sense.
Yeah.
So when you're featured in magazines online, the article goes live. I wouldn't expect, some outlets can, but most of the time it's not that big of a surge that you would expect beforehand. And maybe the same goes for working with retailers. I thought, oh, if you're with this huge name, then it must be massive for your revenue. And it can be, but it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
So I know that's not like a classic marketing example maybe, but with PR, I was quite surprised in the beginning. And then you get used to it, and then you figure out how to leverage being in the magazine. So you share it, I don't know, with your email subscribers or organically or unpaid. That's how I think you can leverage it to see an ROI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're able to maximize the impact of it then. Did you decide to like focus on a specific, I know you did organic at the beginning, but when you kind of started experimenting with paid, or where you are now, is there more of a pot that's invested into certain channels, or do you split it out and test it quite frequently? Like, how does that work for you guys?
I remember in the beginning when I started looking into paid media. So that is your Google ads, Meta, TikTok. TikTok wasn't a thing when I started it. And I received an email from a guy because I was so skeptical. I was like, that doesn't work. Why would anyone buy from a Facebook ad? Like, who
does that?
Who does that? Yeah. And I got an email from a guy named Charlie, and he said, I will prove you wrong. And so I won't take any retainer, but I'll take a little commission on the money that I make you. So I thought, okay, if you do a good job, sure, no problem. You get your cut at the end of it. And that's how I started. And he was really nice and really like good, because I feel like you can also find a lot of bad people. Yeah. And it's a very costly mistake because there's a lot of money that goes into it, or it just becomes a black hole very quickly. He was really good, and kind of did it like that. So he said, okay, let me show you what I can do. And if it works, then you make money, I make a percentage as well, without any additional retainer. So that's how I got into it. And that's what opened my eyes about the world of Meta specifically. And that's just the main channel for us that we have been growing at. We've only introduced Google a few months ago.
Okay.
So it's like a small budget compared to what we spend on Meta. I do think it has a place, but I'm always a bit skeptical with Google how much of the people are purchasing from you after seeing an ad on Facebook or something, and then they go on to Google, search for Monday Muse, click the branded link, buy, and then claim the sale when they maybe would have bought or have already heard about the brand in a different way. But there's always going to be a little bit of overlap, I've learned.
Yeah.
And then TikTok Shop is also a fairly new channel for us. It's not the main priority, but I do think obviously TikTok has a place in the marketing
You
ecosystem.
can't not be on there.
Yeah. And it's done a lot for us, especially organically, actually.
Okay.
Before we were on TikTok Shop.
What did you find was the success, or how did you make organic work well for you then there?
Trial and error, test and learn, just throwing out lots of content. Because on TikTok, you can post 10 times a day and it won't sort of upset the algorithm or people because they don't really see every piece of content that goes out. So we use it also a lot for testing, seeing what works. And we use those learnings for Meta, for our paid strategy, even for our organic Instagram.
And that'll be for like new campaigns that you are wanting to release. You trial it on there first. If it's a success, move it across to the other channels.
Yeah, or just also figuring out what kind of concept from a creative point of view translates the best. It's not always, sometimes something doesn't work on TikTok and it works really well on paid, or it works really well on Instagram. So it's not always 100% accurate, but I think, we put out a lot of content to see what we can learn from it.
Yeah.
From a creative point of view. So it is a bit of a testing ground for us.
DTC Live On Air is powered by Bright Pill by Sage. And what about like your demographics across each of those channels? Do they change, or do you often have a similar customer that is across all?
Yeah, it's quite similar.
Yeah.
I think nowadays people are understanding the power of TikTok more, but I feel like even a few years, like a year and a half ago, people thought it was like an app for kids. It really isn't. So even our demographics are pretty similar, but our demographic anyway is mainly 25 to 35. And then of course we've got people that are a bit younger, but also 35 to 45 is also a big cohort for us. But most people between 25 and 35 are on TikTok. So
yeah,
and on Instagram and on social media.
Yeah. So you touching them in all those different places.
Yeah, it's not like it's like 18-year-olds on TikTok and 40-year-olds on Instagram. It kind of is just
mixed. And what about like on site and that experience, particularly around like your conversion? Is that something that you're actively working on all the time? Are you trying to build like a steady balance or an even balance between when something is on brand and when something is focused on conversion? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, a conversion, or just a world of CRO, conversion rate optimization, is something that I started looking into, I want to say beginning of last year, so maybe this time last year, more and more. Because what happens is as you start to spend more money on Meta, you have to make sure that budget is spent efficiently. So you want to tweak things on your website that give customers more trust or more information in the right way to want to make that purchase. Again, otherwise, the whole ecosystem has to work. If people think, oh, this is a great ad, land on a website that's very slow or has a lot of information or very confusing, they click away, then maybe Meta has done a good job in getting people to your website. But if no one is converting, then
there's no point.
It's still going to be a waste of money. So it's very important that, I mean, I'm not an expert on it either, and I'm sure there's still a lot of tweaks and things we can improve on. But it became, more and more important as you start to allocate more budget on these paid social platforms. Yeah.
Well, otherwise it's just, you just throw in money away, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So it doesn't have to be perfection, but it just has to be, the information just has to be clear. The messaging has to be concise also with obviously what you're advertising. So the whole like funnel, as they call it,
Yeah.
has to be coherent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what about like your post-purchase experience? Like how are you keeping and how are you retaining your customers?
I think through email. We also have this subscription element specifically for our supplement, which is quite interesting. We're now also trying to do it with the skincare, but I think obviously a big bottleneck with skincare and subscribing to that product is, when do I run out?
Yeah. I think you need, like as a brand, you've got to tell them, haven't you?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do more and more. Also create specific routines and bundles, because maybe it's nice to get, a serum delivered, but you kind of need a whole routine, like, at any given point, you need a face wash, you need a face cream as well. So I think routines on subscription could work quite well.
Yeah.
But that's one sort of retention method, people that are on a subscription. And then, we do email marketing. Yeah.
How many are you sending per week?
We do 2 email campaigns a week, and then we have flows set up to specific segments. And I think there's a lot more we can do there, especially because it's interesting within our business. We have the supplement and the skincare, and people understand the concept of like inside out, but some people need more education on the supplement, or some people love the supplement and they're like, oh, but I've got my skincare routine already from another brand, for example, or other brands. So how can we introduce them to one of our products that would be best suited? If you like our skin supplement, what would you like most from the skincare? Because we are realizing that we have kind of 2 separate, not totally separate, but we have 2 different audiences, and we're trying to find a way to get the skincare into the supplement and supplement into skincare. And it's also fine if they don't want to, of course. You go to all these different brands for different reasons. But I think that's where we can optimize our flows for better. However, our range is not that big, so sending more than 2 email campaigns a week, I think it becomes a bit annoying.
And are they both promotional or are they educational? Like, do you send a mix?
A mix. And we even, because I think it's you don't always want to send people like sales, and we don't do a lot of sales as a brand, so naturally you're not going to have many promotional emails if you don't do that very often. But I also think it's nice to get across your point of view on something, or an ingredient spotlight for a customer to learn a bit more, make it almost a little bit more editorial sometimes, because that's what makes me subscribe to other brands, because ultimately we can't forget that everyone gets so many emails in their inbox in a day, and if we're constantly like buy and nothing else, it just seems a bit one-sided. So we want to add value in our emails to customers beyond just buy this,
come back.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a mix of different things. And I think we are starting to see good results with that. So
good.
Yeah.
And what are you doing around like community or speaking to your customers? Like, is that something that you are actively trying to do more of, or how does that fit into your strategy?
I think, the word community it can mean so many different things.
Yeah.
We did our first out-of-home billboard campaign not too long ago, and that's not necessarily community building, but the content we created around it, I think, gave a real like buzz on Instagram, and we even shared it on an email newsletter, and people responded really well to it. So I think doing more of that is going to be quite important going forward. It was kind of a real eye-opener for me.
In what way?
In the way that being a brand on social media first, you're so you're so online, and you film content in your bathroom and this and that, but it is actually hard to create a connection that way. So when things are a little bit more in real life, like the billboards, and so many people drove past them, sent messages, oh my God, so exciting, I saw it, or I sent it to a friend. It's not directly community building, but it is making people feel a certain way. And you can't just create that by being
Always online.
all digital first. So I think that's just like a fun way to entertain maybe the community. Obviously, it's not adding that much value to their daily life. But I also think with community, if I look at other brands or brands that I use personally, like I love the product and I love using it every day, but I also don't need to go to all their events or all, it's nice to interact, but I think there's a limit to it as well. It depends, of course, on your business. If you're like DTC Live is obviously very different. Like you that's literally probably part of one of the pillars to meet up with people and like foster that community in that way. I think that for us, that would be nice to do maybe a bit more of, because we've never done a pop-up. We've never done sort of, a dinner with like maybe our top customers, something like that. I think would be really nice. It's about finding the time and resources to do that as well, because it's very time consuming to do events planning, as I'm sure you know. Yes. It's really is truly a lot of work. So yeah, community is like, it's an interesting one. I want to be part of people's life, but also I don't want to be overbearing and like too pushy onto them. I think that I want to let the product speak for itself, and if they love it and want to share it with other people, that's almost all like we can ask for as a brand, I feel. So
would you do like any more offline activity then after the billboard? Would you do that same promotion again, or would you try something new?
Yeah, I think it's just finding things that make the brand feel a bit more alive. So I would do it again, but if you are going to do this like every other week, it becomes like a bit whatever. So I think it's just finding something that can create that effect, but just in a different way. I don't know what that exactly looks like. That's something we're thinking about now with the team. But yeah, I think what's ultimately important is to always keep thinking about what does the customer actually want. And we're now also doing more like consumer survey research, and just keeping that in the back of your mind always as you grow a brand, because we internally as a team, we love the products, we know each other, we know how the products are made, everyone sees the reviews coming in. But you're so in it that sometimes you forget, okay, what is actually important to the customer? What do they actually value? Maybe it's something as simple as like giving them like a free product when they've ordered from you, 10 times or more, or you have like loyalty referrals, like programs that could be interesting. Is that something that they want? It's more, I think community building is also like showing our appreciation to them.
Yeah. Saying thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
And how does loyalty work? Do you typically hold your customer for a really long time once they first tried? Like, do you do more to get them to come back other than the subscription piece, or to reward them? Do you do anything around that?
Yes. So we are introducing like mystery gifts and things like that, especially when you're on a subscription. There's a lot more you can do. But we also have like VIP codes for people that have ordered over a certain amount of time. So there's little things there that we do, but only obviously as you get further into the brand will you kind of experience it, let's say. But yeah, we have some things in place. I'm sure it can always be better.
I mean, so can everything though, can't it?
Yes.
Like you can't be expect to be at 100% for every different initiative that you're running. Like something's always going to drop back a little bit as you're focusing on other areas. And when you're such a small team as well, like collectively, there's only so much that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it goes back to what does the customer actually want? What actually makes them feel appreciated? And I always try to think also about the way I shop with brands. Personally, I value from other brands when they are consistent with the delivery and the quality of the product. And that's for me, like what I probably value most. And if, if there's a problem, that it gets resolved with the customer service, like in a friendly manner. But I don't personally, but maybe that's because I'm a little bit more introverted. I don't need a whole lot more interaction from a brand. Like it's fun to follow them on Instagram and social media and stuff. But some people really crave that. But we are very active in our DMs as well. Like, yeah, we try to do just everything with intention and being thoughtful.
I think that's a nice way to be about it, and not, you don't have to be super out there and shouting about everything that you're doing for your customers all the time. Like if you're serving them in the way that they want to be served as well, I think that's just as important, and it's still community building, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
And as you've grown as a brand and as a founder, like obviously this was your first project, wasn't it, as a founder and in the industry, what decisions have become more difficult or more complex as time's gone on and as you've grown as well?
Oh, I always thought if I can grow this brand into this revenue level a month, I can not sit back and relax, but I can...
You'll be on a beach somewhere overseeing.
Or, I mean, not even a beach, but just then, because obviously sales are like the bloodline of your business. So I always thought if I can get to this revenue level, then I can pay more inventory and I can get this and then I can hire people, blah, blah, blah. But I've realized actually as your business gets bigger, your problems get bigger and the risk becomes a lot bigger. So when you are a small brand or small in the sense of revenue, if you do 10% more or less sales in a month, it's not going to have that big of an effect if your costs aren't through the roof, obviously. But that's not going to swing the dial. Like it's not going to have that a huge of an effect at the end of the month. But when you're doing more revenue a month, 10% is relatively more. So if you grow 10%, great. But if you're down 10% and then the next month you're also down 10% and then down, that becomes quite scary. And when you're buying inventory, you have to take also a certain risk because you can never have too much, but you cannot have too little either. So if you're planning on growth, how much should you have at any given point? Because you don't want too much cash kind of stuck in inventory. So as the business has grown, I've realized that the more revenue you do brings more responsibility and more pressure, and also for yourself. So I think it's human nature to want to achieve more and more. So what was like a dream and a goal a few years ago, now it's like, okay, great. What's the next thing?
Yeah.
So you're always pushing, you're always trying to push yourself forward. But when you're doing more revenue, when you go from 10,000 a month in revenue and you 3 extra revenue to 30, it's a big jump, but you can get there easier than going from 1 million a month to 3 million or a month or a year, whatever it is. That's so much harder to do. And it requires a different way of thinking, different way of approach. So actually, it just comes with more pressure as the business grows.
Are you focused on growth, or are you focused on stability and more on the profit side of things, or are you after that revenue growth?
I think a bit of both.
Okay.
we are a profitable brand, so that gives a lot of comfort. But you also want to keep growing as a brand. I truly believe, like, if you don't grow, or at least, you can try to grow a lot or a little, but if you don't grow, eventually you'll die. It's kind of like a plant, like it either grows or it just dies.
Yeah.
So you just have to push the business forward. But I'm also not in a rush. We're not venture backed. We don't have external capital. That is, I think, another level of pressure. So we can do things on our own terms and grow on our own terms. I do have ambitious goals for the brand, but I'm not in a rush to get there. I think nowadays people see stories of brands that, sell for whatever it is in 3 years' time, 4 years' time, 5 years' time. But why? Why? I love what I do. I don't need to, I don't want to sell my business in 5 years. You know what I mean? So I there's a lot still that I want to achieve within the business. So yeah, we're focused on growth. And again, I am quite ambitious with what I want to achieve. But at the same time, I've seen so many brands try to grow too fast. And if it just doesn't work out in the way that they had hoped, they don't exist anymore today. So you do have to be careful with, the amount of money you spend, and I think try to be, a profitable brand is very important. Also because you're going to have unexpected months or unexpected costs. But it's, finding the balance between the two. I think that's where I sit.
Are you obsessed with finances, the numbers? Do you keep a real close?
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say you're more operational or more creative, or do you kind of flip between?
I think, and this is where actually my bachelor's degree comes in very handy. When I did hospitality management, it's a business degree with a focus on hotels and hospitality, which obviously that's very applicable to many different industries. But I had financial analysis, accounting classes, but I also had marketing classes, customer service classes, academic writing. So it was a very broad education. And I think that serves me well now. I think that's how I am also in the business. I'm very into the numbers. You have to be. It's either you or someone, your co-founder. Someone has to be. But I personally really enjoy. I enjoy it more when everything's going well, obviously, and there's not huge bills all of a sudden that pop up. But it's fun to grow and to set a goal and then actually get there. And also, I think the process and journey of how are we going to get there? What is the strategy? I really like that side of things. But I think as a founder, you have no choice unless, again, you have a team that you put in the right people, that you put in those types of places. You have to be creative. Like if I have to create content or talk about the products or do brand trainings or figure out supply chain, you have to be across it all. Who else is going to do it?
Yeah. Especially when it's just you at the beginning.
Yeah.
What do you understand about building a brand now that you didn't at the start or you didn't expect?
Definitely the sales side of things. I really put so much focus and effort on product, packaging, design, again, creating really good, finding really great ingredients, partners. And I just didn't think so much about how am I going to sell these 1,000 units that I now have. I don't know, it wasn't a thought that really crossed my mind at the time. So I've become much more savvy at that now. And you have to, again, a business, it grows or it dies eventually. It's like one or the other. So you really have to, it's also my advice to anyone wanting to start a business. You really have to become dialed in with that. And I think a big part of that is mapping out how am I going to find new customers, or how are people going to discover us as a brand. How do I discover brands nowadays? And that's where, your social media comes in, the influencer comes in, the paid media side comes in. I think that's where a lot of maybe founders, or not every founder, but I think it's very important to have at least a basic level of understanding of what's happening in the, your Meta account, Google account.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even if at first I also had a lot of questions. I had no idea. And I thought, oh, what is campaign, ad set, ads? Like, what are all these little maps like in the back end? They also make it look kind of, I don't know, not straightforward in my eyes. But you have to make it your own and become knowledgeable, because that's going to give you a lot of competitive advantage in trying to grow your business. And it's something that I also learned in university. The first 6 months of that school, they make you do a lot of jobs that have to be done in a hotel. So cleaning rooms, cook in the kitchen, cooking, laundry. And you think, why the hell do I need to, it's not like you need to learn how to fold, bed sheets and iron, but it's about understanding how long it takes and what the job entails, so that when you are a manager, you've done it and you've seen it, and now you know how long it takes to clean a room. So if your staff is taking much longer than they should, you've done that job, so you can speak from experience. So I think that's the same.
It's a really good way of teaching a course that I've never heard.
I know.
Heard that before, and when you say it, it really does make sense, because especially as a founder, you are doing everything at the beginning, and then you're able to bring in team members and guide them and train them. But I mean, you're always hoping to bring someone in that's better at that job than you are. But I think that's such a good way of...
It helps.
Yeah,
it helps if you can teach someone when you've had a level of experience, or at least can speak their language. It was the same with my chemist. That's why I wanted to do the diploma in skincare formulating, because I wanted to speak her language. Of course, it's not the same as a chemistry degree. She's highly intelligent, has a chemistry degree from Cambridge University. That's not what I had at all. But I think there was definitely basic knowledge on how a product is made, how a product's put together. And that's, I think really important when you start a business, to just understand every facet of your business.
For sure.
Yeah.
And what's been the most rewarding thing so far?
The most rewarding thing is always the same. It's the customer reviews, the before and afters, the DMs, the reviews you get on our website. I mean, now it's daily. Sometimes every few hours we get a review, and I look at all of them. And of course, sometimes they're not always 5 stars, but the vast majority is. At just making a real difference in people's lives. Because I remember when I was going through it with my skin in university, it makes you feel so insecure.
Yeah.
Also, really no makeup can cover all these little bumps and texture that you have. You feel like people are staring at you. It's I don't know, it's such a weighs so heavy on your confidence, but only when you've gone through it, I feel like you understand. Because otherwise, now when I look at people with a breakout, I just pass them in the street and I go about my day. I'm not worried about their skin at all, but that's not how they feel. They feel horrible, because it's kind of how you present yourself to the world, right? People see your face. So I think that making a real difference to people's skin, that's why I do it. Yeah.
And if Monday Muse is known for one thing in 5 years' time, what do you think it is? Or what do you hope that it is?
I think in the same way that what I love most is that we're known for, making a real difference to people's skin and their confidence and the way they feel about themselves, becoming a part of their daily routine. In an ideal world, every woman has one Monday Muse product in their cupboard. That's big ambition, but yeah, I think being known for products that make a real difference to people's skin and helping them feel their best self. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, yeah, I hope everyone does have a Monday Muse in their cupboard. I don't think it's unachievable.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, we'll talk in 5 years.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You was
you.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
DTC Live On Air is powered by Bright Pill by Sage.